This is our new Consew machine. It's an industrial walking foot needle feed machine. It's very strong. It's got a servo motor that we can adjust the speed with, and I'll show you that in a little bit. The first thing I want to show you here is the model number. And it also tells us which size needle to order. And that's just important. We're going to look for, there's all kinds of numbers on for the needles, but we're looking for 135 times 17. So up here, we're going to see 2 thread spools. The one in the front is for the self-winding bobbin over here. This one is for the winding, the bobbin winding.
Okay.
And then the back one goes to the machine. For threading, we're going to go up through one hole, down, in this hole, around, in the next hole, and then down to these 3 holes. And we're going to go, come to this side, we're going to go in the top hole, around in the second hole, around in the 3rd hole. From there, we're going to go into the top tension disc, and there are 2 tension discs. We're going to take the thread through the disc here, and then we're going to come around. I'm going to unthread it, and let's see if we can do this. Sorry. Maybe I'll start. So from here, we're going to go through the tension disc, and then we're going to go through the 2 discs on the bottom, around to the spring. We're going to go up, and then with your finger, push that spring all the way up and back down, and it will have threaded your thread there into the little arm. And it just pulls through this hole in this take-up lever. Then we're going to come back down through that little guide. We're going to go through that, through this, and this has a piece of felt here to keep it from being loose. Our last little guide is right there, and there's a opening in the back. Okay. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be loose, and I tried to tighten it, and I couldn't tighten it. There we go. And then we're gonna thread it from the outside in. Just like that. Because this is a needle feed, I want to explain to you what a needle feed is. The walking foot has 2 feet that just pull your fabric through. The needle feed, if you can see, the needle doesn't actually go straight down and back up. It goes around in a circle. So our presser foot has to have this slot. If we didn't have that slot, we'd break the needle every time. So you have to have the slot. The purpose of the needle feed is to go all the way through your fabric and push all the fabric back at one time. So it's really a nice feature to have. The other thing you'll notice is we have a lever back here to raise and lower the presser foot. But better than that, we have a knee lift here. And it raises the presser foot all the way up and lets it down. You can adjust the height of this pad up or down depending on how your knee needs to make contact with it. When you get ready to sew, on off, right here. The light comes on and off with it. You put your foot high up on the pressure foot. Almost like the ball of your foot goes right up there. And then I'm going to lift the pressure foot. Put my fabric down. I like to hold at least the top thread. It's not necessary, but on some machines you really do need to do that. So I just lightly hold it and take off. And to make your thread stitch length bigger or smaller, push this in and turn that. I like to keep it on about 6.5. That's kind of a good size. Your reverse is here. And just like any machine, if you want to lock your thread in or your stitch in, you want to reverse. And there we go. You can always pull the wheel towards you to turn corners, raise the pressure foot, turn, and go. I want to make sure this is at the top spot and it'll pull out easily. When you raise the pressure foot, it also opens the disc, the tension disc. So if you try to pull your thread with it not lifting the pressure foot, you can do it, but there's tension there. When I open it up, I can pull it much easier. So that's that. The other thing I want to show you about working the machine is the motor on the back side. So this is a servo motor, which means it is on, but it doesn't engage the motor until you push the pressure foot. One of the other advantages of a servo motor is right down here. This button with a green head, it adjusts how fast or how slowly you stitch. So it's set on about 2,000 stitches a minute right now, and that seems to be just about right. I tried setting it on 500 and it wouldn't move, so I think that's too low. You can go all the way up to 3,500 stitches a minute, but then I think it would feel like it was really racing, and it definitely could sew through your finger. So I'd say keep it around 2,000. Okay. Over here, we have a bobbin winder. There are spare bobbins in the drawer. So to wind a bobbin, I would recommend pulling through instead of rethreading, but I'm going to show you rethreading now. Around the disc. Make sure it goes down in the disc. We're going to hold the tail of the thing and wind away from you. Wind it up good so the tail is caught. And we're going to put it on here and push it down. And then as you sew, it's going to wind the bobbin for you, so that when you run out of bobbin, you've got a full bobbin waiting for you. Okay. The best way to thread this machine is to pull the thread through. So you're going to put your new cone on, tie it to the old thread, and then I'm gonna unthread the needle, raise the pressure foot so that it opens up the disc, and I'm just gonna pull through. There we go. How easy was that? And then you would thread the needle from outside in. Okay? if you rethread the needle machine and it's not sewing well, it's bunching up on the bottom, first thing to look for is, did the thread go through the tension disc? Sometimes it wants to lay on top of the tension disc. So you just take it and pull it and it'll pop right back in. And there you go. But that's what usually goes wrong when people rethread, is they don't actually get it seated in the tension disc. Pulling through is really your best bet. Double check that and you're good to go. It should be oiled about once a month unless it's used really, really often, and then you could oil more. But Consew has added these red marks everywhere we need to put a drop of oil. There. There's 3 of them back here, there, there, here on the top, and I'll talk a little bit more about this one in a minute. But there's several places back here even that need oiled. This is a real convenient little thing. It just scoots off like this, and you see there's a felt pad and there are these felt wicks here. So when you put oil in here, and you could put more than 1 drop at a time, maybe a couple or 3 drops, this gets wet, then it wicks to these wicks, and those wicks run through the whole machine and keep it oiled. So that's a really nice little feature that's there. You can also open up this little window, the end of the machine here, where the head is. This comes off, and you would put a drop of oil anywhere where it moves, and you can just see that by moving the wheel up and down to see where to oil it. Put this back on and you're good to go. Okay. When you need to put on a new bobbin, you get your freshly wound bobbin, put it in, and the thread comes out. Here's the window, thread comes out the bobbin. Sherry Hankins said this is a cue, and I love that analogy. So then you're gonna go in that slot and then pull it around to the front little hole. You're gonna hold it with the window straight up. You don't have to hold this, leave it flat. Hold it with the window straight up. I like to hold the thread between my fingers just so it doesn't get in my way. And you're gonna go in here. You can't really get to it from the top, so you're gonna see it from the bottom. You're gonna push it straight in until it clicks. Then take your top thread, loosely hold it down with the needle, back up, release the pressure foot, and there we go. Close that. I'm going to do some suggestions for troubleshooting if it's not sewing the way you want it to be, if it's too loose, if it's too tight. So this tension knob, you can crank on it without breaking anything. It's made for major resets. So you can do that. You can if it's too tight and you can't seem to do it, to loosen it with the tension knob, there are 3 holes for threading here. You can always skip one. Just do the top and the bottom. That'll give it a little bit more looseness. Worst case, and you're still too tight, you could skip one of these holes, and that would be fine. What else? Oh, always check that your thread is in the tension disc. If it's too loose, it's probably just come out of the disc. Pop it back in and you're good. And your top thread is too loose, it's because the bobbin is too loose. And you can tighten it by getting this screw here and just giving it a tiny little turn, maybe less than a quarter turn. Try it again. The thread should hold in the bobbin case like this, and then, oops, sorry about that. And it shouldn't just roll out on its own, but you should be able to pull it out easily. So, should be that. Okay?